Welcome everybody to another episode of Life Chronicle Deep Dives podcast. I'm here with Coach Cornelia, and she is in Romania.
Romania, yes.
How are you doing over
Hi.
there?
We're doing fine. I was just telling you that it's very hot here, and I just want the winter to come, and I'm not sure it's gonna come very soon. And you are telling me that it's very cold over there.
Yes. It is on a cloudy day. It's roughly about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and when it's clear skies, it's about 38 to 40 degrees in the morning, and then it'll warm up, midday. But the key point is that it fluctuates between those two things. And where I'm at, it's gonna it's 9 months of practically straight clouds and rain, and every once in a while we get a clear day like today.
Mm. Yeah, so 8 Fahrenheit must be minus Celsius, minus something Celsius
Yeah, I
over
don't know
there.
the conversion. I do know there is a conversion, but since both of us happen to be able to use our smartphones, we can do that. And then for our international viewers, I say everything in Fahrenheit and US measurements. Cornelia is going to say everything in metric.
You're Yeah. Why
We'll
are
try to.
why are they keeping us apart with this?
I don't know. Why don't they like smash them both together or like find
Yeah,
some middle ground, right? And then call it something new, and then we'll all have to learn something new.
exactly. So
Well, everybody, don't also, sorry, excuse me. Well, everybody, please also comment down in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then check out our links in the description box below for our websites. And we love to engage with you guys. So please make sure you leave comments, and then we'll get back to you later on. So I have a couple of random topics because we generally be hitting it pretty hard on like one single topic in the last couple of episodes. So I kind of wanted to bring in a fewer smaller ones in. The first one I think that we can bring in is a little bit more personal. I think it's personal to both of us. It's smoking, nicotine, tobacco use. And
Mhm.
so I will start with saying that when I was younger, we would take cigarettes out of my friend's dad's pack and we would go smoke it behind the shed. And then I got into it later on. I was working out at the fairgrounds. I would say I was not of age at the time, smoking cigarettes, out at the fairgrounds, cutting grass, cigarette hanging out, weed eating, shoveling, all those kind of things. And it was like a habit. It was also some social, right? You get the
Sure.
stress relief, and now RFK saying that like nicotine helps with ADHD and all these, it's interesting. Um, we've progressed away. I progressed away from cigarettes into chewing tobacco when I was in the Navy. It was just easier. You didn't have to go anywhere to use it. You could just, whatever, but still tobacco. And then eventually I switched to the nicotine pouches when they came out. And then after a while of using those, I kicked the habit, switched to vaping. I kicked the
Mm.
habit, stopped. I've stopped many times over the years, but I switched to vaping, and then eventually I stopped that, and then that was it. So,
Mm.
um, how about you, Cornelia?
Oh, I used to be a very passionate smoker with normal cigarettes. I remember first time my cousin gave me a cigarette, and when I started to smoke it, it was such a horrible feeling. It had a really bad taste. I don't know if you remember your first time, but it had a very bad taste, and I felt so dizzy, and I said, I'm never gonna do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And then check me out in 10 years, and I was one pack a day,
Mm-hmm.
and then my husband started to vape and told me it's much better, much healthier choice. I refused for a couple of years, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna try it. And it was so nice not to smell that bad all the time. So yeah, I went on this one, and then I started with 18 nicotine, and then I went to 9, and then I went to 6, and then I went to 3, and now I'm not using nicotine anymore. I'm just using menthol and then substance, whatever it's called, glycerin or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like
It's,
a vegetable, some vegetable
Yeah,
glycerin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But for me, it's I'm dependent on the jester now. I could I mean I'm never letting my cigarette down from my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we've talked about it. Like, so Cornelia's asked if she could smoke in the podcast, and I was like, originally I was like, nah, I don't know, because we're doing this, but I mean, I don't really personally, I don't care. Me as a health coach, I would advise not. The term healthier is, it's relative, but considering everything that we put bad in our body, and we're going to talk about something else that is being put into our food system later on. But I mean,
Mhm.
considering all of the bad things that we encounter day to day, we have to be able to enjoy small things in life in small quantities, to some degree, right? We have to be able to enjoy some sugar sometimes. We have to be able to, enjoy, you know, a cigarette. Now, my wife, she says, and she does, if I smoke a cigarette or cigar, which I also like to smoke cigars on occasion, just like that and a whiskey, just kind of like sets in that mood,
Oh
especially.
yeah, yes.
Yes. Um, you feel a little classy, right? And then, but the thing is that she says she won't kiss me. So, I gotta like brush my teeth 10 times, and then it's gotta be 24 hours, and then she'll be able to, and then she'll kiss me.
I mean, Micah, it's classy until you have the whole bottle, and then it's not classy anymore. I mean,
Right.
I can swear by it. When I was younger, I was so crazy, crazy when I was drinking. I was talking to some friends yesterday, and one of them told me why I haven't been drinking in the last 20 years, and she asked me why not. I've done everything possible. There's nothing left, so
Mhm.
there's no point in it. Yeah. But we used to go out. I remember having a Campari Orange, and we were thinking like, we are young ladies and very elegant and so on. And after 5 or 6 glasses of it, we weren't classy anymore. We
Yeah,
were
just
just,
kind of
I
like,
remember being so drunk and trying to keep the white line on the street, and go straight
mhm.
on it. And we had the impression that we are going so straight on that line, but we weren't. Yeah,
Well,
good.
I mean, I'm gonna say that I've had bouts, and this is a little bit off tobacco, but I mean, I guess it's in the same realm. Small things that we
Yeah,
can enjoy, as long as
diplomacy. Yeah.
it's not harmful. So, I can tell you, me and my alcohol have had a very rough past. So every bad thing that's happened to me in my life has happened with alcohol being present in me, right? Or somebody else. With that being said, I've found a good spot where I'm at now. And,
Yeah.
it's two drinks. That's it. Two to
Mhm.
three, depending on the day. Um, Try not to drink too much, or too frequently. And so
Mhm.
I don't know. I would love to maybe do a more deep dive episode into like my real history with alcohol, but for now, that's probably all I really want to say is like I'm at a spot where I'm doing okay. And
Great.
I'm not drinking to excess.
Mhm.
So,
Great.
that's a plus.
Sure. That's great.
I'm always working, right, to make
Mhm.
better improvements, to, do something else. So like I have a whole fitness routine, I eat
Mhm.
healthy, I do indulge in some sugar, right? But in terms of tobacco and nicotine, I haven't had any of that since, when was the last time? I had a cigar when I officiated a wedding this past summer,
Mhm.
and I think that was it.
Mhm.
That was it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very nice when you have a cigar. I've just tried from a friend, but for a man, I think it's a very nice thing to do from time to time.
Hmm. I mean, there's just something about like, I mean, obviously the smell can get very strong. I
Mm.
mean, and wet cigarette smell on clothes is absolutely horrendous. But like, I like the smell of it when it's dry, right? When I walk past, if I can smell a tobacco, smell, I like that. Vapes, the flavor is what gets you because it's kind of like sweet, and depending on which ones you get. Like here in America, you can get like fruity flavors, you can get
Yeah.
savory flavors, you can get dessert flavor. You know what I mean? You get whatever you want. Um, I guess the big catch is on the vapes is like making sure that you get them from, I would say clean sources. They're not coming from,
Sure.
they're not like
Very important.
getting
Yeah.
tarnished, or they're cheap
Hmm.
from China, which explode or something, bad
Hmm.
chemicals. You
Yeah.
got to watch
Yeah.
out for that.
Yeah, actually, they talk about in Europe, they talk about, I mean, in Denmark and the Scandinavian countries, they already did it. You only have menthol. That's all you can have. Then you
Mm,
cannot buy anything else because they said that it's very, very unhealthy to use this sugary aromas, you know?
hmm.
So they took it in Romania, you can find just in the States, just like in the States, you can find anything you want. So yeah, there's so many good tasties, but they're not healthy at all, so I'm not using it. Only menthol.
Only menthol? Yeah, I mean, I think menthol is a pretty good flavor. Like I've tried menthol cigarettes. I'm not so much into not into vapes, but I have had like menthol cigarettes in the past.
Mm.
And one big thing about cigarettes and tobacco is it was like very popular in like black and white TV shows in, you know,
Mhm.
in the what was it, 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, you know, like
Yes.
growing. Like it was classy in the 20s for women to smoke with their
Mhm.
little like extension stick holder,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm. And they said it was healthy. If you were pregnant, you were recommended to smoke.
Mm.
That's crazy. So everyone was smoking in the airplanes. They were smoking as well, and now they're telling you every little thing can cause an explosion. But in 20 years to 30 years ago, you could smoke on the plane with no
Yeah, you can
problem.
smoke on
Everywhere.
the
In the
yes.
hospital, you could smoke in the hospital. So everyone was saying, this is very healthy for you. And
Hmm.
all of a sudden they said, that's not healthy, actually. No, it's not.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I think over time, so they went probably from like hand rolled cigarettes with just straight
But
cut
yeah,
tobacco,
exactly.
and then
Mm-hmm.
companies like were like, oh, let's make this more addictive. How do we make people more want to use these
Mm-hmm.
things? So they started adding
Mm-hmm.
these chemicals, and then like so those chemicals, maybe not flavors per se, but what they do is they attach to receptors in the brain that say this is good, this is more, and then your brain becomes more addicted to like cigarettes,
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't taste good, even if you know you shouldn't be doing it, right? Or you can't do it, or you know, like, hey, I should be stopping, or hey, I've had 3 open heart surgeries, or you know, I know somebody like this and they still smoke, or you know, I've got a stent, you know, I've got one of those pacemakers in my heart, you know, I'm still gonna smoke.
Yeah.
They're just stuck, you know, and you see that, and it's a downward cycle of you know where they start to lose their health, their skin elasticity, you know, like it just leads to a lot more health problems. But I would say every once in a while, you know, your body can clear it out, right? It's not healthy for you, but I mean, neither is sitting next to campfire, neither is, you know, driving in LA, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So uh what would it be? San Diego, like anywhere where there's like high smog, you know, you're probably sucking down the same amount of stuff anyway. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd say every once in a while, like it should be okay to sit down, you know, as long as it's not a bad habit.
Sure. I mean, even if it's a bad habit, I think that people that don't have a dependency on something are very dangerous people.
Mm.
We have to have something we love to do,
Hmm.
like a soft spot, you know? Everyone should have a soft spot so the people we love can manipulate us somehow with it. I'm not giving you sweets anymore if you're not doing what I want.
Yeah, right. Yes, there's no, we're not gonna go get ice cream if you don't finish your homework, right? Stuff like that. You know, it's just kind of you know, it's interesting, but speaking on sugar now, just a little bit, I'm going to sway a little bit. Sugar can be good and bad. Sugar is great. You know, we talked about baking desserts. We talked about the different kinds of things you'd see here versus there. But we also need to recognize that, like, you know, they're pumping all sorts of sugar into like drinks, into
Interesting. Yeah.
foods, and everything. And what does that do? That tells your body it's good, gets it addicted to that item, and then you're sucking it down more. And that's where we've got the like the health crisis across America. Europe doesn't have it as much, but in America,
Mm.
wow, so much sugar.
Yeah, I mean, actually, in here, the sugar in everything you can think about, in the pickles, in the bread, in the cereals, in everything, in the like, not the cereals that you eat in the morning, the ones like the pastas.
Hmm.
So everything is sweet lately in the last years, sweet and very hot. So that's the trend. I don't understand it. There are some countries where you cannot find anything not being hot. Everything is hot.
Mm,
So that's a little bit crazy with the sugar and the hotness because some people don't I mean their body don't accept hot stuff, you know.
hmm. Oh, I mean, you're seeing an uptick in like diabetes as well, like with the high
Mhm.
sugar content. I think the
Yeah.
UK's got this law where like they can only serve you one like soft drink, so like one thing of Coke, and then like you can't get a refill at the restaurant. And I
Really?
was like, I think I've seen a couple of posts like this where they're like, I can't get a drink, or somebody got fined because they went and got a refill and somebody told on them, and I'm like, wow,
I
mind
mean,
blown.
do you have it like, I mean, in Europe, it's really like this, so you cannot have a refill.
Oh, no. In America, you can sometimes you have to pay for it, but sometimes you can get free refills. It just depends on the location, the venue, right? But
Mm,
um the amount of so there's two it's like conflicting because it's good because they don't want their people to be like sucking down a crap ton of sugar. It's bad because it takes away the freedom of choice. But then here in America, you've seen what happens with the freedom of choice when people have the ability to choose or abuse, they're abusing it. So then they're taking more than they necessarily need,
mm-hmm,
um, or more that I mean, I can't really say what somebody needs except for what keeps them alive. What I can say is they're taking more than what I would consider healthy for them, um, per day, you know,
mm,
per hour
yeah.
maybe.
So,
If they're
so you go to the restaurant, you're buying a drink, and then you can refill it as many times as you want until you leave the restaurant?
sometimes and sometimes you have to ask, hey, can I get a refill?
Mm-hmm,
If the waiter comes by, a waitress comes by, they, you know, can I have this? Sometimes they charge you per
mm-hmm,
drink, but you could still get one. Some
yeah.
places have it to where you can just walk up and just fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
And then
It used to have it in McDonald's, I think, years
Mhm,
ago, many years ago. You could refill it as many times as you want. I guess everyone was drinking so much, so
mhm.
much that time, yeah. And they decided to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. You lose the freedom of choice, but you see what happens when people have that choice. Look
Hmm.
at the obesity crisis across America with
Yeah.
children. Look at how much sugar's in our food. It's bad. I mean, almost all of our food, you go to the store to try to buy just healthy, you're spending like a lot of dollars. You go, shop in the middle, you're getting all these processed items. It's cheaper. Oh, I can get this, but you're not, it's like food like substances that your brain is then told that is good. And then it's just like a cigarette. So to swing back to cigarettes, our food is just like cigarettes that we're eating here. It's very unhealthy for most people.
Hmm.
It's cheap, it's packaged, it's processed, and it's got chemicals that make it addictive. Uh, making it may not be like nicotine levels of addiction, but it's like they're making it addictive because it tastes good.
Hmm.
So your brain releases dopamine and
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, that's delicious. And then you want to get more of it, right? I think that's a big dangerous slope.
Hmm. Yeah. They're using that substance that gives you the same level of dopamine like the maternal milk.
Mm,
So it's a substance, I don't remember the name, but they put it everywhere in the fast foods and in everything because umami, I think it's called, I'm not sure. But it gives you the same, like the same amount of dopamine since you were a baby.
mm.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that chemical is. Maybe when you are in post and you find it, we can put it down here at the bottom. But
Hmm.
I know that we have like a corn syrup problem. I mean, you got sugar and corn syrup in most of these things, right?
Yeah.
That makes it super addictive. And then you've got all sorts of chemicals and preservatives and anti-caking agents and fake
Hmm.
colors. And why can't we
Hmm.
just have regular food? But then you realize that if we had regular food, we wouldn't have uh like the cheaper options. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So like people go to the cheaper options. The problem is the cheaper options make people, obese. I think it slows down their brain patterns, like their thinking patterns, their thought process. It makes them more volatile emotionally, easier to manipulate. I think it makes them, easy to control. Um, and that's essentially the same thing that the tobacco companies did with cigarettes over time. They found ways to manipulate the product to make people more addicted to it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. That's our food supply. That's what we eat. And we're going to talk about another food item here very
Yeah.
shortly.
Yeah. I was just thinking about how it was before when our grandmothers were cooking and they would have breakfast, lunch, and a very small dinner, and then nothing in between except maybe an apple or something.
Hmm.
And now everyone needs to have a snack or something sweet, and then you have something sweet, you want something um, salty, and
Hmm.
so on. So they used to eat so simple and healthy, and the food was made in the house with no additives or anything else. So yeah, they've been. I mean, on our streets, almost all of them, all of the generation, they went over 90 years old. Almost everyone
Hmm.
from their generation. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's going to be a rare sight more and
Mm.
more. I think we've increased the longevity of people's life with in terms of medical, right?
Yeah.
We in
Yeah.
medical, I think we've managed to hit the top unless we start adding, components like Neuralink to people's body or
Mhm.
augmentations or cybernetic and like, full robot replacement type stuff that you'd see in iRobot or, one of those
Mhm.
movies, Upgrade. And with that, I don't think we're going to see people living that long anymore because of the food. I mean, and also because the pharmaceutical companies need people to be on their product
Yeah.
to make money. So, I mean, you'd think that they would want to do good, but as we've discussed many times before, anytime there's an opportunity for abuse, you're usually going to see that greed,
Mhm.
gluttony, whatever.
Yeah. First of all, greed. Yeah.
So let's talk about something that I've been kind of like following for a while, just in and out, not too much. And it revolves around Bill Gates. And
Hmm.
so he is involved in all sorts of things like in Africa and like mosquitoes
Yeah.
and like
Savior of the world.
vaccines. Do what?
He's the savior of our world. The savior of our world.
I mean, I think he would like
So.
to be that, but I think he's
Mhm.
transitioned away from like Microsoft and he was like, "Oh, make it a subscription and then you'll have people for life when it came to Windows." And that's what he did, right? All the products
Mhm.
that you now want that you used to be able to buy outright turned into subscriptions, right?
Mhm.
So once he got that, he like, went off and then he started doing like vaccines and viral research. He started doing mosquito stuff at
Mhm.
Africa or something. I think he was
I
messing
mean, he in Africa they vaccinated women without telling them they're not going to be having kids anymore. So that was one of his projects, which I found very unhuman to do something like
around.
this, but he did. Yeah, he and his wife and their organization.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I think is what it
Foundation,
is.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And
He talked about climate changes. All of a sudden, he knows everything about everything.
right. And then he's into climate change and like changing all
Mhm.
this stuff. And when you get after him about these things, he's like, "Oh, well, my stuff is fine. All the fuel that he can buy for his, however many jet he's got and how many boats
Mhm.
or whatever, and then you see I'm getting off topic here, but you see the World Economic Forum talking about, having digital ID and being able to buy, like you have a carbon allowance, but then
Mhm.
you can trade your carbon allowance to people that have more money for, more food
Wow.
or more benefits. And so you think that, there's that, and I see the possibility for abuse. But he got into something, the food supply. So I think he started messing around with like plants And one thing that he got into, climate change, also got into the food supply. He said that cow farts were
Mm.
making climate change was like existential. I mean, just recently he came out and said, "Oh, we're going to be fine. There's enough programs and this and that. We're going to be fine. Nobody's
Yeah.
going to."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But Bover, I believe, is one of Bill Gates' programs that he
Mm.
created, and it is a feed additive that they give to cows
Yeah.
that is supposed to change their farts, their
Mm-hmm.
flatulence, to reduce their carbon output or methane output or whatever. And so I've been sending these links. Denmark
Mm-hmm.
made it law, correct?
Yes. And Great Britain as well. They started first and then Denmark. Probably Holland, Belgium, they're there. So first of all, how crazy is this? I mean, I don't know if they have any, like, did they measure the farts and then they decided they took, okay, let's see how many cows do we have on the planet, and then we are uh see how much a fart can pollute, and then we can make a mathematical calcul and see how it is, and oh wow, the cows are the cause for our climate change, and then let's change this. This is crazy. Who's doing
Hmm.
this? Who's thinking about this?
People with
Yeah.
way too much time and money.
Yeah. I mean, you have to be very like not having anything to do. You
Hmm.
know, the normal person would never think about this. But then again, okay, let's say that the cows are farting too much. Then so he came up with this food additive, but before this, they wanted to kill all the cows in Europe. So that's
That's
the
right.
main,
I remember that. But they
yeah,
wanted to drastically reduce the amount of, yeah.
yeah. And I think in Holland, they already closed all the farms that have cows. I'm not sure, but many of them anyway. So, yeah, they just don't like the cows anymore. They just
Mm.
want us to eat that artificial meat they make in the laboratories and in the factories or whatever, which no one is buying. I mean, I've seen it on the shelves, no one is buying it, even in a smaller price. People won't buy that artificial meat. So then they decided to not give us a choice anymore, and then let's go kill the cows, and then you will eat that artificial meat because you'll have to eat something.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, that aligns with, their like, I mean, you just see like little cogs of like each little agenda happening, right? There's a resistance to killing all the cows. So what do? They develop a feed that they say
Mhm.
is fine, but guess what's happening? Every video that I've sent you, and it's like four or five
Yeah.
farmers are
Mhm.
like, I've seen their videos are like their cows are like getting sick. They're just
Mhm.
collapsing. They're dying. They're not producing milk. And then people are supposed to eat this stuff that the cows are now like dying, getting sick from, you know, potentially spreading this. Now, if you look at that alignment, let's say they got a lot of resistance to killing the cows. They say, okay, well, we'll make a feed, but the feed is what's actually killing the cows. So they don't have a resistance to the feed. So
Mhm.
they just skip steps. Now, this is a
Yes.
possibility. But now what
But
happens? All these cows
so,
start dying. The food crisis kicks back up. It's not going to be chicken and eggs anymore in America. It's going to be cows in Europe.
mhm. I mean, if you think about this, first of all, that additive they put in the food, it's gonna, I think it's gonna come in our bodies when we're eating the cow, right?
Correct.
So are we not gonna fart either anymore? That's my
Well,
question for Gates.
yeah, I just wonder is it going to mess with our DNA? Is it going to mess with our intestines? Are we going to get sick? Or like, pregnant mothers or women, like, is it going to have like a lasting effect? Let's say if you eat a cow with Bover, right? And you were looking to get pregnant in the next year, you were eating cow, beef, whatever. And then like
Mm-hmm.
you get pregnant and then you start having deformed kids. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they know, right? And then you have milk, or let's say you have a healthy kid, but then you're like, you're eating a steak or something or whatever, hamburger. and you or drinking milk or something, and then you pass that through breastfeeding into your
Mm-hmm.
child, what happens? Like, and then who's responsible for that
Yeah,
if
yeah.
somebody gets sick, right? So I think you're going to have a mass die off of cows, or it won't be fast. It will be, slow. And then when people start to catch up, they'll be like, "Oh, everything's fine. It's not the Bovaer, it's not the boat," right? Because they don't want to take responsibility for it. But
Mm-hmm.
then eventually they'll be like, "Oh yeah, it was the boat." Yeah, just like we found out that COVID came from a lab from Dr. Fauci signed off on it. So like not the wet market that he was over there on TV barking about. It's crazy. They're messing with the food supply. I
Mm-hmm.
understand the concept. Make, for them, it's climate change. For Jeff Bezos, it's like artificial meat, which Florida has now banned.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial meat. At least I don't know if it's the only state, but like it is a state.
Why?
Like,
Why did they ban it?
why would I? Because it's not meat. It's not real. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's weird to me. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yes.
there's a place for artificial meat, 3D printed meat. That's space exploration, right? That is where you would have that.
But
Not here.
what do you know what is in that so-called meat? What do they put in it? Like vegetables or what are they putting in? Proteins or
I don't, I know it's protein. I've heard potentially that they want us to eat like bug. I've seen articles. I don't know if I've sent it to you, but I think I've sent it to my
yeah.
mom. But it's like
Mm.
bug based.
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oof, oof.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, no. I mean, okay, in a survival situation, bugs, sure, fine. Or if you're in a country where it's normal, I mean, I know you can go to countries, you can buy like a box of crickets, like candy
Oh
crickets,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, it's their food, whatever, yeah.
Yes,
Not ours. Yeah.
to replace a mainline food source, meat, with bugs, just because you want to save the planet so you could
Mm-hmm.
feel better, right?
And the
So
bugs
it's
don't
like
fart. The bugs don't fart probably
bugs,
as much as the cows.
right? I mean,
Like,
but think about it.
yeah,
What
but
are you gonna do?
yeah, let me ask you something. What's their interest? This is something I'm always asking, and I never have the answer, except power in this case because the money it's there, so they don't need it anymore. The power, like, do you have like a pleasure in seeing that you can just manipulate the world, and if you dream something at night, you can put it in place the next day without any, I mean, without any government saying, okay, stop, we don't care who you are, just leave us alone and so on, you know? What's the interest here for them?
So I would definitely say that power is one of them, but I think it also has to be like some degree of like pathology in their brain. They've got so much money that, and did we talk about this where like people have so much money that they need more and more
Yeah,
and
we
more
talked a little
things?
bit. Yeah, we
Yeah.
should do a podcast, whole podcast about it, but we did touch on it a little bit the last time. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
well, I'll save the deep dive for that next podcast. But basically, what it is like people need more. So like they've graduated, they've got so much money, they've got a successful business, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, right? They've got all this stuff. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
They see themselves as like, we're up here, top of the food chain, best thing, on the planet. And to a degree, like a lot of people look up to them. They've got a lot of money, right? They can pretty much do whatever they want and get away with whatever they want. Nobody's
Sure.
really going to stop them. So
Mm-hmm.
what do? They start getting into food supplies. They say, they look for what is the next big money maker, right? And that is going to be vaccines, the climate
Mm-hmm.
change scam, right?
Mm-hmm.
And food supply. What
Yeah,
else is there? I mean, there's water, but I mean, that'll probably be next. You'll probably have people like messing around with water,
might be. Yeah,
trying to create this like climate change water crap that, supposed to stop humans from producing some sort of gas or letting off some sort of whatever. to stop climate change? My guess is that's next. If they're already in vaccines, if they're already messing around with the climate, they're messing around with food supply. The water is going to be the next big thing, and once they capture that, um, I don't think there's a road back.
Mm, me
Like pretty
neither.
much all privatized water.
Yeah. So if you think about it, just they in the last years, and we've talked about this before, they are trying to change everything we know it's normal.
Hmm.
So everything for thousands of years, people had cows, pigs, all kinds of animals, right? Free water, it should be, right? Or
Hmm.
at least, yeah. And now they start to the men and women, right? So they're working on this one as well. It's so many things that they're trying to change. It's like they're trying to change the normal into something else, which is not nicer, which is not better, which
Hmm.
is dystopian, you know. And what I worry about, and we talked about this as well before, is that they don't care about what we think about. So if you ask people, normal ones who are voting, so they are our the politicians are paid by us, right? So they should serve us. Okay, so I'm voting you, and you should go there and do whatever I want you to do, right?
Hmm.
So if I'm telling you I don't agree with these measures you're taking, and you're not listening to me, you should just get home and leave someone else who can represent my interests, right? But they are not
Hmm.
doing it. So what I'm saying is that they want to remain in power as long as possible. That's where they are at this point. At least in Europe, they're trying to make a war, just because if you have a war, you cannot have elections, right? They're gonna stay in the positions until the war is over. So this is,
Hmm.
I think, this is the main reason why they want a war. So they want a war, they want to change everything, and they want us to shut up. That's what they
Yeah.
want. Why?
Hmm.
Here's my question. Why? What for?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to lead to that. Eventually it'll be a two-world government, where there will be two
Yeah,
different
yeah.
main factions organization, right? Uh, Other than that, I mean, they're circling like the final markets of any potential freedom across the globe.
Mhm.
Once you go
Yeah.
after food, once you go after water, um, that's it. You know what I mean?
Just let me add something. Before, I mean, 10 years ago, if you would ask me, I would have said, and I told you already, I think the Danish government is going to stop this additive into the cow's food.
Hmm.
So I used to trust, and maybe I still trust the Danish government that they're going to do the right things for the population of Denmark. I'm not as sure as before that they are doing it, but I hope they will, because when we had COVID in Denmark, they killed all the farms. I don't know those small animals that you make fur out of it. I don't remember how they're called in English, but they killed all the farms that had hundreds of years. They killed everything because they said that they take very easily, they take COVID and they give it to the people, and they
Mm.
killed them. So those farmers were destroyed, some of them killed themselves and so on. It was such a drama, for those families. And now to start with the cows again, the Danish people are most of them are farmers, so it's what they live from. Like, the biggest companies in Europe with milk and butter and these kind of things are from Denmark.
Hmm.
And now you're gonna kill everyone with this new additive for because Bill Gates thinks that the cows are farting too much.
Hmm. Well, I mean, and it's crazy because Bill Gates, like I said, he recently came out and said, "Oh, well, we have enough programs in place. Humans are going
Mhm.
to thrive. Everything's fine."
Mhm.
It's been that for the last, I don't know, 50 years. It's been, "Oh, we got an existential crisis. It's going to
Oh,
flood.
yeah.
Ice caps are going to
Yeah.
crack. The ozone layer, radiation, blah blah blah." And I grew up with it. You probably, heard some of it, and I'm just like, well, when's it happening? When is this? When are we having this cat? And and they point to like hurricanes and wildfires and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, these are naturally occurring or human man-made, population density problems. The hurricanes, I mean, there's some theories that say like you could seed a hurricane. So, I mean, that's also possible. If you look at some of the stuff from, I believe it's North Carolina, one of the ones that went through there. But they point to natural phenomenon as like they can stop them if we invest in climate change. Like you're going to stop hurricanes? No, no, I don't think so. Or they'll say, oh,
Mm,
they're getting worse. I mean, but they fluctuate, right? So this one might
sure.
be bad. The next one might
Yeah.
not be, you know?
I mean,
Uh,
if you think about how the planet was before humans, like millions of years ago, it
Way
must have
more
been
volatile.
storms all the time, you know?
Hmm.
Jupiter doesn't have a solid part. It's that just gas and always like, but at one point, those chemical reaction are gonna end and it's gonna change. You know,
Hmm.
it's the same with the planet Earth. So it's changing, and we know from science that it is a cycle that the planet goes through. It doesn't have anything to do with us, except
Hmm.
that
I would say
maybe
that our effect is minimal.
yeah. I mean, we should be more careful with the plastic. That's my opinion
Sure.
because there
Okay.
are
I agree with
places
that.
in this world where it's too much plastic and the animals are suffering, the fish in the ocean and so on. But
Absolutely.
farts, I mean, it's like they're try are let's see how stupid people are. Let's say that the cows are farting too much and see what happens. Oh, they don't react. Okay, we can do the next step, you know?
Hmm.
They're stupid
Oh,
enough to allow us to do the next step, you know?
right. So like that's like the control
Mm.
like scheme. All right. So I'm trying to draw this here. So in the middle is like your freedom. And what they do is they whittle a little bit away on like
Mhm.
different sides, and then eventually that circle gets smaller. Like they can't just like zap up like whole chunks of it like that. They have to like ease the choke around you. So today it's Bovaer, tomorrow it's going to be something else. But all of these people that are telling us about these things, Bill Gates has massive investments in China. You don't ever hear the EU go after China.
Mhm.
You don't ever, talk about their emissions. China's like pumping out energy like crazy. They're like developing, they're like catching up way fast. Um, but nobody cares about, what they're doing. But a lot of these places have huge investments. Jeff Bezos,
Mhm.
Joe Biden, his family had investments in China.
You know, we have a
You
word
know,
here in Europe. Like at our house, we are the biggest ecologists, like IKEA. You know, they say in Sweden, they say we care about the environment so much. We care about climate change and so on. And they're coming in Romania and stealing our wood. I
hmm,
mean, I'm gonna put here some pictures to see before and after IKEA came into Romania and stole the wood. So
hmm.
they pretend that they are these good people who care about environment, and then you can see them doing their business in some other like the dirty business in some other places like China in this instance, you know.
Right? And they all have planes, they all have boats, they all have
Yeah.
security details, they all have like uh what are those called? Car escorts, motorcades, they've all got
Oh
motorcades,
yeah.
and all these people around them, they've all got their own private security while telling you to be disarmed. They've all got all these extra cars while telling you you need to ride a bike. They've all got
Mm-hmm.
they've all got planes while they tell you you shouldn't travel as much. They're literally making it, and this is one thing you said something about the politicians or people that make rules generally make rules that will not affect them.
Mm,
Our
sure.
Congress is
Yeah.
pretty much pretty well insulated from the laws that affect
Mm-hmm.
everything below them.
Yeah.
So
They have immunity in Europe as well. So they have
mhm,
this immunity, they cannot be touched. Even if they do something bad, they cannot be touched until as long as they have this position of power.
yes, and so I hope that they don't mess with the food supply too much more. And whatever they do, they learn their lesson. They don't do it, right? We need cows because we need milk. We need to be able to eat.
I mean,
Do they?
can you imagine, like, let's talk about politicians again. So there is Bill Gates and there is the
Sure.
politicians, right? So they are listening to this guy. Why?
Mhm.
Who is he? Why are you listening to, how does Bill Gates know so much about cow's fart?
Mhm.
Where did he do any, does he have any studies about this? Or then vaccine searching. Is he a researcher? Is
Mm.
he a doctor or something? Like in medicine, does he know medicine? Or how can we listen to? So he went in South Africa and he sold to the government those vaccines. And they said, okay, give it to us. Because you are Bill Gates and we're going to listen to you that it's good for us not to have so many kids. While the population is in decline all over the globe.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't
Why,
understand it.
why are they listening to this guy? He's no one, except that he's got a lot of money. So what? Does
Sure.
this make him like a specialist in anything?
Well, I wonder because we've talked about how, I think the globalists want a slow decline. Well, they'd rather have it fast, but I think they're going to have to do it slow. They're going to have to whittle away at the population. Part of that is food supply. Part of that is uh, whittling away at, I sent you that video where they said, don't have white babies. They, get with,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's like they want this, all these little things that they
Mm-hmm.
want. And Bill Gates has come out and said, we need to depopulate, to save the planet, right? So I wonder if all of these little things are just little cogs in the machine to get where, the elites, want us to be.
Yeah. It's kind of scary to think about it. So if we are too many people on the planet and you want to depopulate, why don't you start with yourself, Bill Gates, and do us a favor, right?
Right. But also these people, they talk about equity, you know, everyone ending
Oh,
up
yes,
in the
they are
same
very
place.
moral. Yes, they are very moral.
Yes. Oh, yeah. But I don't see them like liquidating their assets and
Mm.
distributing their wealth down. So as soon as they start doing that, then I'll start believing them that they actually believe in equity. Anybody that says equity, but that owns anything themselves, um, probably don't trust them. Um, did you have anything else to add before I close this out today?
No, I mean, we could talk for hours as
We
usual,
could.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, but we have to stop at one point.
Yes. Well, everybody, please don't forget to leave them comments down below. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out our links in the description box below for our websites. I know I say that at the beginning and the end. I'm just kind of used to saying it. And I say that on my own personal channel as well. Um, but I want to say thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.